I'm here with legends. I'm humbled to be here in the presence of such legends to talk about Auri and the new record, Candles and Beginnings, the third album. How you guys doing?
Splendid.
Yes,
On top of
very.
the world.
Top of the world, indeed.
So let's talk about this record and let's start off with how everything got started. For those on the periphery that may not know a lot about the band or a lot about the record, is the creative process for you guys different from record to record? Does each record demand its own different approach?
I think each record is an individual entity, if you will. And the songs just, I mean, they have a life of their own. We're just here to listen and to welcome them in. That's our job. And then the songs tell us what to do with them. That's how it usually goes. And every time is a bit different. But I guess over the time, we all three have developed our own personal ways of receiving the music and approaching it, songwriting. I mean, so yeah, that varies.
Was this record less challenging, more challenging when you compare with the previous two?
It's always been really effortless with this band. It's very unique in that there's zero egos involved with Ari. That for me is the most beautiful and the rarest thing. And I think the first Ari album was pretty much as easy to put together as this one
Yeah.
and the second one. So everything comes naturally,
Yeah.
everything's beautifully. We never really argue over things. There might be some little details in the lyrics that we have a short discussion over and change it and move on.
And I feel like whenever we start on a new album, it's always when there's already music that's come out and like wanting to be on that album. We've never started from scratch, you know. We have no ideas, but should we start writing an album? That's never happened,
No.
has it? So we've already had all these ideas brewing, and then we just kind of set a date. Okay, let's make time for it here. And then the music just arrives, which is beautiful. We're constantly in a creative process, if you will.
And this might be a bit, it might be a bit difficult to believe, Pedro, but we in 15, nearly 15 years, we've never came into conflict with each other. Not once. And that's a very rare thing, you know. And it's what that is conducive to our music. It directs that balance between us, directs the music as well, and certainly gives the music the complexion it has now.
I thought this album was really interesting to me. I equate it to being on a sailboat because the music is like the current and the vocals are like the wind at the sails. So the album has these two pieces that really move the music along and move the listener along more than the music, move the listener along throughout the entire track listing. How was it to put the track listing together? Because I feel like it's such an important aspect of how the record plays out.
I love that. And first of all, thank you for the lovely comment about the music. I love that. That's the image it sparked. And I don't know, these two, I think, in our group are the best when it comes to song order. I think you have really good ear for which works best.
The
Yeah.
songs tell us how they want
Yeah.
to be organized.
They do.
It's not us really.
And it's critical. It's critical that we get even to the microsecond, the millisecond of a gap between a song is vital to us too. In a very non-anal way, I must say. we're very, very conscious of the voyage from the first opening note to the very end. We're very conscious of how the thing plays out, how the journey carries itself.
Yeah, and it's definitely a journey because it felt like I was listening to one song the whole time, almost like when you're watching a movie, it's made out of different scenes, but it's still part of a much bigger picture. The record
Yeah.
really feels like that, and that must be difficult for you guys to then choose singles, because how do you choose a song out of the context of what the record is?
Yeah,
That's a very good
yeah,
point.
it
And
is.
I've never been a big fan of choosing singles, but it's something that we do for the sake of the label.
Yeah.
And why we chose Shield Maiden to be the first single is simply because it's the shortest song on the album. And thus the making the music video doesn't cost that much.
We're telling you the truth.
I know, and it's one of the songs on the record that really works well individually out of the context of the album. There's other tracks on this record that would be a lot more difficult for you guys to pull to pull that experience off. When it comes to creating that vibe, that feel, you have the songs. Do you then look at something that a song might be missing in order to link better with the song that comes after? How do you guys work out those details?
That's a good question.
This is your area, Troy,
Yeah, I've
I
never
think.
really, yeah.
It's a great question.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, it's hard to say really. It's there is so much, so many complex parts to all of Auri, to Auri music, and to Auri's release into the world. The way Auri is received and I suppose perceived as well in the world. That it's really difficult to answer that. Um, I don't know. Put it in another way, Pedro.
I thought you guys did a wonderful job understanding where one song ends and where the next song needed to begin, so that while each song has its own individual DNA, its own individual fingerprint, somehow they're all part of the same hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah,
thought that was, it's such a minor detail in the construction of the album, but it has such a huge impact on for me at least on how I perceive the record. And I wasn't sure if that was something that happened organically in the construction of the songs or something that you guys actually put a little bit more of a thought process behind it.
yeah. I think that's definitely post the mixing of the album. That's when it becomes critical that we compile the album in the right way.
Mm.
That to make it appear to you as a journey and where everything is in the right place at the right time. And that's really difficult to do because of dynamics. You know, you have to, it's not as easy as just going, oh, well, this is a quiet song, then we'll do a loud one, and a quiet song, and then a loud one, which is the usual state of affairs. With this, there's a lot more subtlety involved because there's lots of multi-dynamics within each song, as you gathered. So yeah, the most important thing is post mix, the compiling before it goes to Pedro's mind.
Oh, what a weird place to go. So, you used a word that I think it's really interesting, which is complex, because when I'm listening to this album, it feels very simple to me. The sounds, the vocals, the lyrics, everything is so easy to absorb. But I'm also, I think I'm smart enough to realize it's very complex underneath that surface. So, how do you manage that complexity and then showcase it in a simple way?
I think we work in a really intuitive matter. I don't think we even ourselves understand what we're doing, half the time. It's just so organic, isn't it? We just play by instinct and by ear and just, oh, this feels right. Let's do this. We never stop to, well, what would like it's never like a logical process that goes into it. It's always heart first and what gives you goosebumps. That's how we operate.
Trust the truth, not the logic. And like you said, always believe in the instincts.
Mm.
And in those rare times that your instincts fail you or you start to question what to do, then there are the other band members who will help you decide what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Put you in
that's right.
check.
That's very evident when we mix our music. We really rely on each other
Mhm.
to do the right thing.
And this one is for you guys, but it's I'm pointing at Troy for this one. I mean, he can do almost everything, and I mean almost because he doesn't play drums on this record. So, will you be playing drums at some point in time? I think that's the only box you haven't checked yet.
Run, isn't it, that
I do, yeah, I
so he
do.
does play the
Um, yeah, we need to fire Kai.
Yeah, or at
I-
least take some
I'll
lessons. Ask him for some lessons.
I'll have a go. I'll have a go. No, no, Pedro, there's no chance of me playing drums. Never, never, never. I'm really useless at it. I have tried, but I'm like giving a chimpanzee a pair of sticks and a pan. It just doesn't happen for me. I'll stick with everything else.
And you do everything else extremely well, and this album really showcases that. It's such an important piece of the texture of the music, but I think another important piece that might go a little bit under the radar is the lyrics, because there's so much other things that you connect with musically and even vocally from an atmospheric standpoint. But I thought the lyrics were so interesting on this record. Where does that inspiration come from?
Everywhere,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
The inspiration can come from the most mundane places. Uh, Meeting a person in everyday life, encountering an animal,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
reading a book, seeing a scene from a film, anything. You just immediately feel that there's a song there somewhere. Let's give it a try and see what happens. And that's where the inspiration comes from. And especially with Ari, when it comes to the lyrics, we like them to be very vague and ambiguous.
Does
Yeah.
that feed off of the music that you're creating behind it? Because I feel like the two kind of go hand in hand, really
Well,
leaving
some.
it up to the listener to decipher.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. We tend to. Well, me and Thomas, I think, tend to have no rules as to which way we arrange things, whether the music triggers the lyrics or words trigger the music. You can't really pinpoint where that is. I mean, personally, music comes to me first and then lyrics afterwards. But the music has to be coming from somewhere really interesting, either inside myself or outside myself, within or without.
And for me, I guess it's more like a puzzle. I mean, sometimes words come first, sometimes music comes first, and then you kind of piece them together, see where they fit. And sometimes it's really strong. You kind of get the whole package and you know what it's about. And it varies so much, much more than for you two, I'd say. Yeah.
Everybody always says that the vocals are just another instrument, and I think that's a huge cliche, true, but a cliche nevertheless. But it's really true on this record. I really felt like the vocal performance was just another instrument that was added to the overall sound that this record has. Is Ori a blank canvas for all of you to express yourselves to the fullest?
That's a good expression, I'd say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
Yeah.
Yeah,
is.
spot on.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a playground of freedom and love and adventures in music. And it's fun to push your boundaries and discover new landscape and yourself as a musician and a singer as well on it. It's a beautiful thing.
With that in mind, is there a point where you guys come up with something that you're like, oh, this is really cool, but doesn't really fit what the band is? Is that ever happened?
If it does, it doesn't even see the light of day.
Yeah.
It doesn't even it doesn't even figure. But I'm sure it has. But if it, as I say, if it does, it's kept off somewhere else to be used elsewhere. Auri is very much a feeling. It's an idea that all three of us share. That's difficult to describe, really. But it's all hopefully it's all in the music, and people can somehow pick up on it. Somehow they can pick up on that intangible, ineffable thing that is music that all three of us love and are in hot pursuit of.
It was interesting for me listening to the record multiple times. I felt like I was listening to a different album every time I pressed play on it because I discover something new every time that I press play on the record. And it was like I was listening to a whole new album every time. And that is very uncommon these days in music because I feel like everything is right at the surface. There's not much for you to really dive deep to it. But you guys really created that experience that really hides well certain elements, and your ears have to adapt to a certain element in order for you to discover a different one that was there already. When you guys are listening to it, do you have a similar experience, or because you're in the process, becomes a lot more difficult for you to see it?
First of all, Pedro, it's really rare that people listen to an album from beginning to the end, like you have done now many times. So thank you for that, because that's how this album and our music is meant to be heard from
Yeah,
beginning to the
absolutely.
end.
True. Yeah, indeed. And did you want to answer the question as well?
I got lost in my thoughts.
It was such a splendid question. Yeah.
But totally, we do hear the music. I mean, yeah, I love that you're discovering all the different details in the music. And I think that happens to us as well. I mean, like we discussed earlier, it's like watching magic unfold in front of our eyes as well. You discover new things in songs. And as we've discussed, we often go back and listen to our albums just recreationally when we travel. We love doing that. And then kind of after some time has passed, we can just visit that world again with fresh eyes. And it's always like a warm blanket that you can wrap around yourself.
Yeah, it's almost like a theatrical piece, but just in a musical sense. You have to let your imagination guide you and let your imagination create the visual that the music and the vocals are giving you. At least that was my experience listening to it. And I had a fun experience because we checked out Shield Maiden on the channel, my son and we were critical of a part of the song where we wanted the song to go a little bit bigger. And because we're just looking at one single snippet of what the record is. Then when I
Yeah.
listened to the album and I put that song in the context of the album, I'm like, wow, no, it's perfect the way it is. And it just really goes to show you that it's very difficult to analyze a record like this on a song by song basis. You really have to sit down and give yourself the time to listen to it.
That's the key. That's the key to it.
Brilliant words.
Yeah, that's
Thank
the
you
key
for
to
those.
it. That's the key. You see, really, in effect, what we are is we're completely out of time, with what we do. The world in which we were releasing this music into, whether it wants us or not, or whether it understands us, it's getting it, but we don't mind. We don't care. As you said at the very beginning, Pedro, we make it for ourselves. The music we make for ourselves in the hope that other people might understand it and connect with it. And if they connect with it, then they connect with us and they become our invisible friends.
Through
That's
the invisible bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
yeah.
exists between all hearts. Yeah.
One last question for you guys. You announced a massive, for me, it's a massive European tour that you guys are going to embark on to celebrate this record and promote this record. Is there any thoughts of hitting other places, other continents outside of Europe, or right now this is the only way us that want to listen to you guys have to travel? In my case, I have to travel to Europe if I want to catch a show.
We are slightly cautious when it comes to the future of this band. So what I mean by that is that we just want to take our time with this tour in Europe and see how we feel afterwards.
Really savor it. Yeah.
Really savor it and then think about the future in October, November.
But
But
it is a dream, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It has occurred to us, though. It has been hinted at how lovely it would be, but we just need to see what happens and how much fruit and vegetable is thrown at us when we're on stage.
How
It's
often will it be?
But Pedro, you just got to come over to Europe and see us.
Yeah, love to
Yeah,
share.
You guys are twisting my arm. I think I'll have to do something like that because it's such I can only imagine being such a almost out of body experience listening to this live and you can just close your eyes and just be immersed in it that you guys are almost forcing me to just buy a plane ticket and come to Europe.
We'd love to share.
We'd love to.
Brilliant.
You guys are the absolute best. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Troy, it's nice to see you again. It's nice to meet you guys for the first time. I wish you nothing but the best with the album release and the tour. And if you guys are worried about people throwing stuff at you in North America, don't worry about eggs because they're very expensive. So nobody can afford to throw eggs at anybody these days. So you guys are totally safe. Totally safe.
Right.
Oh, thank you so much for a most delightful interview. Thank
This
you.
was such a
Thank
lovely
you.
talk.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Next time.
Yes.
See you, Pedro.
Bye bye.